Hello everybody, Storm here. Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV Online Endwalker. In the last episode, we continued following Hermes around through his duties here in Elpis and had a couple of different incidents, one with a Charybdis who was struggling to fly, and one with the Lycaon, or the Lycaon, however you pronounce that word, where they were just too dangerous. They were destroying other creatures for no reason, not hunting them as predators or anything, just destroying them because they were there. And so it was determined that they needed to be reverted or, destroyed. And what we learned is that Hermes experiences a lot of profound pain and sadness by this process of destroying these creations over which he oversees. And it's also led to him feeling the same way about, his society's, penchant for, people deciding to end their lives when they decide that, they've fulfilled their purpose or they're satisfied with the way things are. And he feels kind of out of place and disconnected from his own people. And he doesn't know if, his feelings are right or his society is correct, and he's very kind of confused and conflicted about things. And so what he did was he created Meteion and Meteion's sisters, which we found out about, and basically have used them as space exploration probes, sending them out in the Great Expanse, powered by Dynamis, to visit other worlds, find the inhabitants of these other worlds, and find out how they live their lives and how their societies are structured, and I guess to see if there's anything out there that fits the way he feels. So that's kind of where we're at, where he's still dealing with that, and so we're still exploring here in Elpis. Now, if we do a little bit of a recap, I think it's probably a good idea, is we know that, we don't necessarily know, but we suspect strongly that the final days is a phenomenon that is driven by this Akasha or Dynamis energy. Is the only explanation that makes any real sense. We know that that's a very abundant power source, and that Hermes is extremely knowledgeable in that energy. And that Meteion was created to utilize it, and that copies of Meteion were sent into the Great Expanse to look for other civilizations. Now, one thing else that we can deduce is that whatever is causing the final days is likely not coming from Eorzea itself. And we can devise that because the final days' effects occur where the celestial currents of the star's ether are weakest. Right? And that would seem to indicate that it's coming from outside rather than coming from within. Because you'd think that if it was coming from within, it would somehow be related to the, the currents in the land or the sea or something like that. So we're starting to pick up some pieces to the puzzle here, but we're still missing some. And we need to continue investigating kind of where we're at and hope that we find something here that provides that key or clue that we need, that may be something that the ancients overlooked. It might give us an insight in what we need to figure out what's causing this whole final days thing. And one could think that Heidelin thinks this as well, because why would she have given us the flower, which would have led us here? No. Through a series of events led us here. So, kind of where we're at the moment. Now, practically speaking, I've switched back to Paladin. I've pushed Machinist 87, so that's leveled up. And so now we're going to work on Paladin. I took care of all the side quests. Those are all done. And so let's go ahead and talk to Hythlodaeus here. And see what our next step is. Hythlodaeus wishes to discuss plans for the remainder of your visit. Where to now? If there is anywhere you would like to visit before we leave, I should be glad to show you the way. Hermes has not yet outright refused his position with the convocation, merely postponed the decision. As such, I may as well resume my assessment. If we cannot accompany him, then I will content myself with questioning his colleagues. Ever the pragmatist, then allow me to remain your humble guide. And what of you, Ayame? Will you continue along with us? Yep. Wonderful. Our fellowship travels on unbroken. I say we explore another part of Elpis and see what new encounters there are to be had. If you will follow me, we will first head back towards Anagnoresis. Probably about as close as I'm gonna get. Right. So, if we're heading back there, then I might as well teleport. Or no. No. Actually, it's on the way, so we'll just ride. It might have been a closer ride from the Aetheryte, but this is fine. All right, there they are. Damn it. Did we part ways with Hermes not far from here? Given the size of Elpis, I expect our paths will cross again before long. Alright, Hythlodaeus. From here, we follow the path northwards to Mutonius. There we find one of the Noose, which facilitate travel between the islands of Elpis. First-time travelers must be accompanied by someone with the requisite permission, which I have previously been granted. You only need to use the device together once, and henceforth you will have leave to use it freely. Shall we? Convenient. There's something strange over there. Gurengach. And, yeah, we're gonna leave that alone. Alright, here we are. Unless the need is pressing, I won't be tracking Hermes with my ethereal sight. It is poor manners to spy on someone's comings and goings in such a fashion, so don't ask. Social conventions notwithstanding, perceiving ether requires deliberate and intense concentration, and we otherwise keep our eyes on the corporeal world. Interesting. It's not like you can see it all the time, it's just, you know, you can if you want to. Okay. Hildeus, here we are. Note the noose. This noose will take us to Calamelios Zephyros, the western island. That's it right there, looming large over us. Step this way, and we can soon admire the view from above. Here we are.
I present to you Calamelios Zephyros. Here you will find a number of testing facilities, as well as the observation hub of Poiton Oikos. Right then. Let's begin by...
A Spriggan.
Well, well. An Areus.
Or an Areus.
How delightful.
And what, pray tell, is that?
That is a walking shark. As I said. Any of the crazy, strange, insane creatures we run into, it's these people's fault.
Ah, that's a new species of shark. We approved the concept but a few days ago. Sharks are among the most popular sea creatures. Rare is the day when someone does not submit a new concept. At first, they were largely orthodox, consideration given to such things as size and environmental impact, and then a whimsical someone thought to bestow it with flight, another superior intelligence. And then the floodgates burst, concepts with multiple heads, or arms and legs, and so on and so forth. It was getting absurd. A part of me wanted to tell them to go away and find something else to create, but in the end, I couldn't deny their passion. And here we are.
And we're about to have to fight it. Or someone else will take it out.
That was too close. Are you unharmed?
Well, hello there.
Well now, if it isn't a pair of familiar faces.
Banar, that we should meet you here.
Yep, Vana, the eventual Heart of Hydaelyn.
As I mentioned earlier, the better part of the convocation holds that when we retire is when we return to the star.
Right.
Well, she is not among said majority. Even after stepping down, she carries on with her work. Vanar is her name, and she is the previous Azem.
Well, well.
It has been a while, Hythlodaeus. You look well. Less so, Emmet Selk. I dare say the lines upon your brow have both deepened and doubled in number. A shame for one so young. You must make an effort to frown less often.
Everyone's all over Emmett Selk's back.
Easier said than done, thanks to your unruly successor.
How is she, if I may ask?
Incorrigible as ever. Rushed headlong into a volcano on the brink of eruption just the other day. I should be glad to share the tale in its entirety later, if you're so inclined.
Sounds about right.
Oh, You know I am. Now then, you are?
Well, about that.
I say, have you perchance come from the future?
Cover's blown.
I do not believe we have ever met, yet I sense my magic upon you.
Ah, the blessing of light, I'm guessing?
Therefore, if I wove the enchantment, I could only have done so at a later point in time.
Logical.
What manner of magic is this, if I may ask?
A traveler's ward, of course. It prevents the corruption of one's ether.
The blessing of light. Yeah, that sounds rather like the blessing of light.
I see you are not ignorant to its presence. And while there are many protective spells, the one you bear is unmistakably mine.
Hold on. From the future? That's absurd.
What is it? Are you unable to speak of the matter?
Well, about that.
The reality to which you must return exists as a result of the final days. You cannot reshape the past to undo the tragedies of the present.
So, your actions here will not change your history, but they may yet affect the course of ours. How very exciting! I'm quite fond of delving into the unknown, and there's naught more unknown than the future. Until a moment finally arrives, we cannot know for certain what will come to pass, regardless of our supposed foreknowledge, so you needn't worry for us. More importantly, that you should go to such great lengths as to travel unto the past bespeaks the gravity of your quest. Will you not reveal it to us? Mayhap we can be of aid to your cause.
Well, or might be getting up in a situation where we don't have a choice.
If this is true, then you've been keeping quite the secret to yourself.
As I said before, wouldn't you like to know?
As a representative of the Convocation, I will hear it all. Your identity, purpose, everything.
You're not gonna like it. You're not gonna like it at all.
Why don't we move to a place more conducive to calm conversation? I've been working here for some days now at an old friend's behest. If it is agreeable, we may make use of my accommodation at Poiton Oikos. We were meant to meet. I am certain of it. Else I wouldn't have marked you so clearly, and sent you unto myself in the past. It's precisely the sort of mischief I would get up to, And quite inspired, if I do say so myself.
Well, that's what the plan was. And that was a risk. We wouldn't figure it out. Emmett Selk. And here I thought you were a harmless stray familiar. As far as I'm concerned, this nebulous talk of future this and changing history that can wait. First, I need to find out exactly who you are and what you hope to achieve here. Trust me, it's not anything that will be a problem for you. Ithadeus? The future. Our future. I'm deathly curious to hear more. You're not gonna like it either. Alright, Bana. Well, apologies, but before we move along, a colleague has tasked me with a matter which I'd rather not leave unresolved. It involves finding a certain concept-engraved crystal and the quick-fingered Aureus, which made off with it. An Aureus, you say? I think we might have seen the culprit before being distracted by the business with the shark. Would you like to follow its ethereal trail? That would, of course, lead us only to the Aureus. There's no guarantee that it hasn't dropped or stashed away the crystal you seek. Please, even that much would be enormously helpful. While you are hunting down the thief, I can follow behind and scour the forest floor just in case. Could I ask you to join the search? I'd appreciate another pair of eyes to cover the land to the west of here. Sure. Many thanks. There's a small bridge leading into Poitin Oikos. Let us meet up there once we've exhausted our efforts. Alright, well, if we're at risk of drastically altering history before, now we're firmly stepping into potential paradox territory. I believe I see it. Got it. And I can't actually turn it in. Well. I'll have to switch to machinist. And I'll have to see about pushing the paladin to a higher level on my own time. Alright. Emmett. The problem you present is vexing enough without adding old Azem into the equation. And she wonders why these lines upon my brow go deeper when she herself wields the hammer and chisel. Yeah, about old Azem and new Azem. The Azems, both mentor and student, are a force to be reckoned with. I find them a delight personally, but they have a habit of making Emmett Selk look as if he bit down on a sour grape. Alright, Vana. Our last searcher returns. I'm afraid the Aureus no longer had the crystal, nor was I able to find it as I followed in its wake. I don't suppose you fared any better. I did. The crystal, well done. Wonderful, now I can focus on your tale without missing that missing concept nagging at my mind. Have you always had a knack for finding things? Yeah, I've often been asked to do so. Oh, you too. Some of us seem destined to always be searching, for ourselves and for others. Long ago, when I held the seat of Azem, I was forever trekking back and forth across the star in search of answers to people's problems. Sounds about right. Naturally, the need for such journeys has lessened considerably since I entrusted the position to my whimsical successor. I'm still eager to come running, should an old acquaintance or new interest require my personal attention. That is what brings me to Elpis, in fact. Many times has my presence been requested, my opinion sought concerning the habitat of this or that creation. Agreeing to help locate that missing crystal was a minor distraction, which now promises to become a major revelation. How strange and wonderful it is, the way one thing leads to another, wouldn't you agree? Alright, next. Thank you again for your timely help. Now then, 'tis time I returned this stolen property. If you would go on ahead to my accommodation, I will join you as soon as I have attended to that task. Follow the path straight ahead to the building at the top of the slope. I have the entire place to myself, so we can speak without fear of being disturbed or overheard. Alright then. And there is an aetheryte here, so we want to hit that before we go too much further. All right, here we are. Hythlodaeus, you needn't be nervous around Vana. Those white robes mark her as one of fair and impartial reasoning. Aside from the emissary, Elidibus, such garb is worn only by those who have stepped down from public office to serve as advisors. Whatever you have to say, she will listen without judgment. Ah, okay. And Emmett? Yes, this will be far more comfortable than interrogating you on the side of the road. Alright, let's get started then. Welcome to my temporary abode. Please make yourself at home while I put on some tea. And this piano rendition of answers.
Ah, a wonderful aroma. I feel more relaxed already.
Would that I had sweetmeats to offer, but I travel light out of habit. There's plenty of hot water though, so please have as much tea as you like. Now then, will you tell us your tale?
Oh boy, better settle in. This is going to be a ride. Let's see. We'll start with a calamity called the Final Days has befallen the world.
Why don't you start from the beginning?
Yep, Hydaelyn. Yassians. Amaranth. Giving them the whole rundown. Zodiark. And the Final Days.
Preposterous. Utterly preposterous.
As I said, you weren't gonna like it.
While not the words I would have chosen, I too have my doubts. Much of it borders on the incredulous. What of you, Vanar?
Not knowing the precise details of the first final days, it is difficult to determine the veracity of the tale. Supposing it is all true, I must ask myself why I would do what I did. Why would I feel I had no recourse but to oppose the 14 and create this Hydaelyn? Circumstances change, of course, but it would not have been an easy decision regardless. No, there must have been a reason. One compelling enough to force me to take such drastic measures.
Yeah, the only information we have about that comes from Emmett Selk, the Ascian Emmett Selk. And he was not exactly a impartial source.
Then there is the Elpis flower, which I said would serve as a guide. That it's of import to your mission is plain, but your presence here leads me to believe that this place also holds significance.
Almost certainly.
But what could it be? What are we meant to accomplish?
Might it not be simply thus? In the future, whence she came, the final days could not be averted. Mankind has no choice but to flee the star. By alerting us to that eventuality, perhaps you wish to pave the way for other futures.
Theoretically speaking, it is a possibility. Yet if that were my primary objective, I see no reason to guide our friend to Elpis specifically. The capital and Amarot, or even my own home would be more logical destinations.
True.
True. I note also that Hydaelyn did not specify a point in time to which she must return.
Or that we need to go back in time even in the first place. Just the flower, that's it.
By this, it may be inferred that it was not critical that we should meet.
Alternately, she had reason to believe that our paths would converge, coincidental though it may seem.
This is quite a puzzle, and we do not have all the pieces.
Hardly any, but we do have one immutable fact. If the final days are indeed as described, they will bring death to all that I hold dear. Yet despite being afforded long years of preparation, the only provisions I could make were for flight. Nay, my first and foremost endeavor would be to find a way to forestall the coming doom.
Given that even the 14 failed, mayhap you deemed it impossible.
Nothing is impossible. This I have always believed. And if Hydaelyn is indeed me, she would believe the same.
Listen to yourself. Are you seriously entertaining the notion that you are a messianic figure in some far-fetched tale? Well, I will not. I refuse to accept that our world could be undone by some unforeseen calamity. I also take offense to my portrayal as a megalomaniacal madman.
Well, that's what happened.
To sacrifice oneself for the star is a noble act, and I would hold those who gave themselves to this zodiac in the highest esteem. Yet, you claim I recreated Amarot and populated it with phantoms of our people? A bizarre indulgence that would be insulting to their memory.
Like I said, 12,000 years of bearing the weight of an entire civilization can change a man.
Worse still, I even invited you there. Literally invited my own downfall. Why would I do something so idiotic and inexplicable? Now, I will allow that the hypothetical task of restoring our world would be daunting in the extreme. The thought of having to bear such a burden for 1,000 lives horrifies me. But I would never forsake my duty. I would never forsake my brethren.
And you didn't. He's processing.
You do not know me. I've had my fill of your fiction. I will return to my duty, and you will not bother me again.
Emmett Selk! Wait!
Yep, he needs a little more time.
You've seen much of Elpis already. If you have any observations to share, I should like to hear them.
Hermes and Meteon are somehow involved. Yes. Too many things line up.
Hermes and his creation Meteon, you say? If Dynamis is the self-same energy as Akasha, as it likely seems, then those two may well be at the center of the calamity to come. This warrants further investigation. With that settled, 'tis time for action. The missing pieces of the puzzle are here, I'm certain of it. And when you find them, the picture my future self has painted will be complete, and you will have your answer. Now suffice it to say, I will aid you in your quest. Have faith. If Emmett Selk is the man Azum described to me, we've not seen the last of him.
Yep, as I said, he's gonna need some time to process. Alright. No? Shall we begin our investigations then? I'm acquainted with Hermes, of course, but only as a visitor received by the Chief Overseer of Elpis. The man himself only know that which is common knowledge. Thus, I suggest we fall back to the tried and true method of conversing with the locals. The observers who live here can surely tell us more of Hermes and Meteon, and I have a good idea of where we might begin. Alright then. Okay, so where should we start? See the woman sitting in front of yonder building? Her name is Ismene. She is the one who made arrangements for my stay in Elpis, and from what I recall, she has held her position here for quite some time. Chances are she can provide us with some insights. Go and ask your questions. I will help with drawing out answers if need be, but I leave the choice of topic up to you. Alright then. Oh, there she is. Questions for me? Well, I suppose I have no other pressing duties at the moment. Yeah. Let's begin questioning. Greetings, Ismene. My friend here is desperately curious about Chief Hermes, and I was wondering if you might indulge her. Certainly, Mistress Vana. Anything to be of service. What do you wish to know? What kind of person is Hermes? Yeah, let's start with that. I can only answer from my own experience, but I would describe him as a quiet man, reserved, you might say, and occasionally somewhat poor with his choice of words. His reticent nature, however, does not prevent him from carrying out his duties as chief overseer. The man is a walking archive when it comes to life forms. He can discuss any species in incredible detail, and is a leading authority on concepts with the power of flight. I hope that answers your questions. Was there anything else? Do you know of Meteon's abilities? It's no secret that she is a highly unusual familiar. Of late, the chief often makes his rounds with her, like a mother hen raising her chick. I understand that she is able to read emotions and communicate directly with one's mind. Exactly how she was created with that talent, however, is a mystery to me. Apologies, I wish I could explain her nature in more depth, but I've not had the occasion to discuss it with Chief Hermes. Do you trust him? I beg your pardon? I've known Chief Hermes for many years. Though I cannot say we are close, he has never withheld information to the detriment of our duties, if that is what you mean. Forgive us, we seem to have veered slightly off course here. Is there perhaps someone else who could tell us more about Meteon? That would be Timaeus. He has a similar expertise with flying concepts and is more than eager to discuss the subject. You'll find him conducting his observations on the banks of the stream, somewhere to the east. Oh, and unless you take particular joy in rambling discourse, I suggest you keep your questions concise. We shall keep that in mind. Thank you for your patience and your insight. Think nothing of it. If there is naught else you need during your stay, please do not hesitate to ask. Alright, Kamayami. I think we've taken enough of Ismene's time. Alright. Where did we knock it off to? There she is. Our investigation is off to a fine start, wouldn't you agree? From here, I propose we split up. I shall continue making inquiries with the resident observers. If we could track down the colleague Ismena mentioned. Well, I did feel compelled to interject once or twice during that previous conversation. You seem more than capable of drawing forth the answers you seek. All I ask is you watch your footing around the stream. We can meet back here once you've finished speaking with this Timaeus. Alright. Of course, it pulls out the big mount. Let's see, where is this guy? Ah, there. Yes, I'm Timaeus. But please keep your voice down. You'll startle the birds. All right. Another interrogation scene. So, what is it you wish to speak about? What do you think of Chief Hermes' flying creations? Yeah, we want to stay on topic. Chief Hermes' work? A worthy subject, indeed. Those beings which soar through the clouds, majestic and graceful, are ever a favorite of creators. Even now, with so many varieties in existence, the flood of newly imagined concepts continues unabated. What sets the Chief's creations apart, however, is how they benefit from his boundless knowledge of the celestial realm. Birds that climb so high they disappear from view, others which traverse the boundless sky in moments, and all without riding the currents. I know of none save he who can conceive of such marvels. Even we who prize elegance of form above all else are dumbfounded by his genius. Meteon, too, is a marvel, then? My opinion on that matter would be superficial at best. Despite my admiration for Meteon as a concept, I have never delved too deeply into the inner workings of her nature. I know that she has a gift for communicating via emotions, but otherwise her abilities are a mystery to me. Your Chief Hermes should choose to submit Meteon's concept to the Bureau of the Architect. Then will the design be registered for public scrutiny? Analyzing a colony's creation before that step is frowned upon, to say the least. Of course, he came to me, a fellow artisan, looking for advice. If he came to me, a fellow artisan, looking for advice, that would be an entirely different story. Do you know of Dynamis and Entelekis? Dynamis and Entelekis? Those terms do sound vaguely familiar. Was there a flower made here in Elpis which exhibited properties of one or the other? It must have been centuries since I last heard anyone speak of such things. Has there been a resurgence in interest? Not necessarily. Why bring up the subject? I'm flattered you saw my insight, but I cannot afford to neglect my duties for the sake of idle chatter. I really must return to my observations. Surely you have your own tasks to attend to. Okay, not a ton of useful information there. Alrighty, that was quick work. You were obviously clever enough to head off any of that rambling Ismene mentioned. So, have you any new findings to share? You see, even an expert in the field has little understanding of Meteon's capabilities, let alone an awareness of Dynamis. My questions resulted in much the same answers. Hermes' colleagues view Meteon as his personal project and could provide no details beyond those which you just told me. Which leads me to believe that the only person with any significant knowledge of Dynamis is Hermes himself. Yes, we've made some progress here, but more information is needed if we are to reach any definitive conclusions. Alright. Any other ideas? At present, the strongest link we have to the final days is the power of Dynamis, and the Entelekis which can control it. Yet, most scholars are only vaguely aware of these terms, let alone study them in any depth, except for Hermes, it seems. Thus, am I inclined to stay our current course, and learn all we can about the Chief Overseer and his familiar. On that subject, was there aught else of note you can tell me about Meteon, aside from her unorthodox method of communication? Yes. She has sisters. Your sisters were created to journey to the stars in search for intelligent life. I rather wish you had mentioned that earlier. In any event, would you care to elaborate? Do these siblings of hers now travel the great expanse in search of deeper meaning? Thank you. Though the mystery at hand remains unsolved, I feel you've touched upon a vital clue, one we should keep in mind as we continue. Next, I propose we take ourselves to Peripeteia Crystalline. Not far from here. Just follow the path to the west. Okay. Alright, we are here. This tower and the one further along are both part of Peripeteia Crystalline, the facility where they archive all of Elpis's observational and testing records. Despite how they appear from the outside, the interior is actually a vast area of magically interconnected spaces, which, while fascinating, is not the reason we are here, is it? I shall cut my architectural lessons short and see what those two archivists have to share. If you can find someone to speak with over the other tower, I shall join you there anon. Alright then. Peripeteia Archivist. You have questions for me? Certainly. Just a moment while I conclude my current appointment. Indeed. So if you could provide a comprehensive log of those behaviors, we should then have sufficient data for our official records. Yeah. What was it you wished to speak to me with me about? The Chief Overseer's personal research project, and by that I assume you mean Meteon? Such undocumented studies are difficult to track. After all, hardly a day goes past without seeing a researcher trailed by one creation or another. I'm afraid I cannot tell you exactly when Meteon appeared, only that she now spends much of her time at Chief Hermes' side. Although, I do recall an interesting tale my dearest Galene shared with me. Galena is my partner, and a fellow researcher here in Elpis. She was returning late one night when she caught sight of Chief Hermes sending Meteon heavensward, a host of them. For several days, she would speak of that scene with wonder, describing it as one of the most beautiful spectacles she had ever witnessed. It sounds like a story I should like to hear. Mistress Vana, I thought you had already returned to the surface. Permit me to thank you again for your invaluable contributions to our concept placement proposal. Pray do not mention it. As you say, my original plan was to leave after that task, but I have since become engrossed with Chief Hermes' research. Would you favor me with a retelling of this site which so delighted your Galene? Of course. We could hear from her lips directly if you prefer. At present, she should be observing a subject in Metabesos Thalassai. Or Thalassai. Metabesios Thalassai. She does enjoy her time there, watching the sea creatures hunt and play, gazing upon the salty waters of the world's oceans recreated in such sublime detail. I imagine you must find similar joy in indulging your boundless curiosity, Mistress Vana. Even though such pursuits must continuously and regretfully delay your return to the star. Indeed they do. Is a rest well deserved and long overdue, I should think. How greatly have we prospered for the wisdom you accumulated during your travels as Azem. And what would Elpis be without your earlier academic work? The theories you developed served as the basis of many techniques still in use today. Man is a creature of contemplation, but none embody that nature with as much enduring passion as you. I dare say there's not a soul alive more worthy of a return. I shall rejoice the day you depart on your final journey. I will be honored. Well, shall I take this opportunity to meet with Galena in person? Sure. Allow me to reconfigure the door to the archives here. It will take you up to the Skyway and spare you the need to avoid hostile concepts on the ground. That'll be most helpful, thank you. Yeah, so it seems a little strange to just casually say, yes, I look forward to the day that you die. Alright, Vana. The other archivists hadn't heard already, but this story of Galene's sounds promising. Alright, let's go. I have opened the path to the Skyway. Once you pass through the door, simply walk straight across to the next tower and ask for admittance to the upper tier. Upon arriving at the upper tier, walk straight across the Skyway and you will find yourself at the entrance to Metabesios Thalasai. Galene will be eager to share her tale with you, I am sure. Now, Thalassa is definitely a word I do remember. It's Greek for sea. Bana. The tower ahead is still part of Peripetea Crystalline. We'll need to ask for passage through to the upper tier. Alright. Mistress Vana, just passing through? Then allow me to prepare the path. If you need further assistance, there is always an observer or two out on the upper Skyway. Just zoom out here a little bit. Yeah, pretty nice view from up here. Vena. That door leads into the Thalasai. Or Thalasai. Perhaps we can trouble this person for assistance with finding Galene. Mistress Vena, I was not told to expect we should have prepared an official welcome. Please, there's no need for fanfare. I only wish to speak with Galene, if that might be arranged. Yes, Galene, of course. I'll inform her immediately. But she may be engaged in a testing phase. You could be in for something of a wait. Should I let her know your business is urgent? That won't be necessary. This lovely view will keep us occupied until she's ready to receive us.
A delightful breeze and a breathtaking view. What is it like in the future? Is the world still a beautiful place?
Some parts, yes. Others, not so much.
Dark, hidden places, rife with danger. Those have an altogether different, but no less powerful sort of appeal. While we wait, will you not tell me about your adventures? Well, not the portentous events which led you here, but the simple delights all your own. By learning about the future world, I may gain insight into future me's plans. But more than that, I have an interest simply as a fellow traveler. Short of going somewhere oneself, there's naught more stirring than hearing another's account.
Alright, well, tell her about some stuff.
Incredible. Would that I could have been there to see it. Yours is a harsh and unforgiving world. Yet in spite of this, your brethren hold fast to their virtue. To know that the light of mankind's potential still shines, even in that faraway place, it gives me heart. Thank you for regaling me with your tales. I will treasure every word. As you know, I was once a scholar. And among other things, I sought to understand the workings of the world. What exactly is ether? How formed the laws of nature? Whence sprung mankind? Riddles and mysteries beyond counting. Over the years, I have managed to find answers to some few of them. Yet rather than attain a sense of mastery, the more I understood, the more I came to hold the world and its miracles in awe. We too are miracles, each and every one of us, born of the warm breath of life that traverses the heavens, swirling through eternity. When I fully grasped the improbability of our existence, nothing felt impossible anymore. If it could be imagined, it could be done. A passion swelled within me. An epiphany dispelling all preconceptions of what was natural and true. And a presence without. Immense, yet intimate. Fate, perhaps, holding us in its tender embrace. As reassuring as it was intimidating. How keenly aware I became of creation's fragility. Built as it is upon precarious happenstance. I was overcome with an irrepressible urge to know the world more intimately, to hear its voice, feel its breath.
And know its thoughts?
I ventured forth on a journey that very day, so very long ago now. Freed from presumption and prejudice, I saw the world through a newborn's eyes. Everything fresh and new, and so beautiful. Lands that stretched on forever. Skies one could drown in. The heartbeat of nature, silent yet strong. And amidst it all a people. Beacons of light and life. Laughter that warmed my heart like naught else before. They are my meaning, and my purpose, my love. And so long as they need help, I cannot return to the star. Perhaps my future self is still waiting for it. The moment she can let go and walk unto the end. Safe in the knowledge that man will find his own way. You, who are our future, tell me this, and tell me true. Has your journey been good? Has it been worthwhile?
Pray forgive my lateness.
And of course, we get interrupted. But the answer to that question is yes.
My observation subject was rather irritable, and it took a while to settle it down.
No need to apologize. Your work takes precedence. Besides, we had a pleasant conversation in the meantime.
You're too kind. Now then, I'm told you wished to ask me some questions.
Indeed. I've an interest in one of Hermes' creations. Meteion. You witnessed a host of them take flight, yes?
Oh, that! Yes, I did. 'Twas in the dark of the morn. I'd left the Thalassai after nocturnal observation. As I walked along, I spied a bright light climbing high into the southeastern skies. Then, in an instant, it was gone, like a shooting star, only rising rather than falling. But then another shot up, then another, and another. Intrigued, I made my way to the edge to investigate. And who should I spy on an isle to the south but Hermes and Meteon, the Matea, rather. There were lots of them, and I realized they must be the shooting stars that I'd seen.
A dazzling spectacle indeed. Have you spoken with Hermes about this?
Oh, yes. The sight left such an impression on me that I approached him about his mystery project the very next day. Alas, he said that he couldn't reveal anything just yet, that he needed to conduct further tests. It shouldn't be long now, though. He often returns to that isle, and I have a feeling he's nearing a breakthrough.
Splendid. We are likewise eager for the details. Well, that is all we wish to ask. Thank you for taking the time to indulge our curiosity.
You're very welcome. It's always a pleasure to speak with other inquisitive souls. Oh, and will you be descending now? If so, I shall link the doors for you.
Please.
Could this breakthrough be what we're looking for? Alright, let's see what Vana has to say. So, another piece of the puzzle falls into place. From what we've learned thus far, I think we can safely conclude that Hermes hasn't been revealing the details of his research to others. No, he's been keeping it rather close to his chest. It suggests that either someone will appropriate his discoveries and make use of them, or that Hermes himself will have a hand in causing the final days. Maybe. Since we have no reason yet to suspect the former, we should consider the latter the more likely possibility. Proceeding under the assumption, or that assumption, our next step should be to divine why, or even if, he might desire such a terrible fate for our star. There is another possibility, though. Is that Meteon or the Matea find something. And that something isn't friendly. That is another possibility. I should like to visit the site from which Hermes sent forth the Matea. If we are fortunate, we might find some hint of what drives this research of his. Galene said she spotted them in the southeast, rising from an isle she could see from the edge. If we stand at the same vantage point, it should not prove too difficult to locate the isle in question. Let's take a look, shall we? Alright. We will do just that. But I think this is where we're going to end the episode. So, stop here. And we'll continue our investigation when we come back. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Go ahead, like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you next time.